Hi, I'm Nicola Cairncross.
Hi, hello, hey, hi.
I'm going to talk to you about success. Yes.
Okay, so here we are on the balcony for probably the very last time actually, because I'm going off on my travels again tomorrow, and when I come back I'll be on a different balcony probably. So I wanted to just give you a quick update on my week. I've been down in the village staying at a new apartment for 4 or 5 nights. I was above Amos Souvlaki Bar, which sounds a lot less attractive than it actually was. It was actually really attractive. The apartment was lovely, and the bar underneath was fantastic as well, with really nice people running it, Spiro and Frosso. And the weather's been absolutely glorious in Greece this week. I have been on the beach every single afternoon, getting all my work done in the morning on the balcony, looking out over the sea. That really gave you a big incentive to get finished, I can tell you. It's been a big week for all the young people back in the UK. It's been a week where people have been having their final shows. My daughter Phoebe's got a couple of friends who are fashion designers, and they had their final show at the Truman Brewery just yesterday, in fact, and everybody was really worried that nobody would turn up because of the attack on London Bridge, but it was a full house, so you know, well done to Laura and Kira, and I'm really enjoying watching all the video footage of the fashion shows, because of course I used to be a fashion student myself once upon a time. Talking of Phoebe, she's got a new job. She's been headhunted, but entirely on her own merits, entirely through her own network, for a social media manager job to grow a well-known business coach's Instagram and YouTube channel. So that's really exciting. She starts that on Monday, and I know she's really looking forward to it. So good luck, Phoebes, and well done. She'll still be doing the Vzine though, so don't worry about that. As I say, I'm off back to England tomorrow on the Kalamata to Gatwick flight, and it's at a much more reasonable time of the morning. It's at lunchtime, in fact. You don't have to get up too early around here. And I'm going back straight to Cardiff, where I've got a client consultation day on Thursday. So I'm going to go straight to Cardiff and have a couple of days in Cardiff, perhaps meet up with my mate who lives down there, and then do the consultation day on Thursday and head straight back to Shoreham. Of course, it's wildlife next weekend in Shoreham, and I won't be going this year. I've decided to give it a break, give it a miss this year. But Fatboy Slim is headlining, and all of the local people, I mean, there's thousands and thousands of people come to Shoreham for this. They bill it as Brighton, but it's actually at Shoreham Airport, so literally just down the road, and I will be able to hear the music from where I'm staying. Then after that, I'm going off to Brisbane next Monday, and I'll be arriving there on Tuesday after probably 2 days travel, but you go back in time or forward in time or something. I don't really understand how it works. And I'll be staying with my mate Neil, who is organising the event that I'm speaking at. Also, another old friend of ours, Matt Duggan, is coming out there with his girlfriend. So it'll be a really good fun event. I'm really looking forward to that, although I'm not looking forward to the long journeys either way. Then straight back from Brisbane to Chipping Norton, where I've got, I know it's quite incongruous really, isn't it? I've got another client consultation day on the Thursday, so I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to stay for a couple of days in Chipping Norton. It's an ex-client of mine who wants some help setting up a new business, and she's become a friend over the years as well, so that's going to be really good fun. I've never been to Chipping Norton. I think it's in the Cotswolds somewhere, so it should be quite pretty, especially at this time of year. Then back to Shoreham, and then off to Paris, because Heather is singing somewhere in Paris, so it might even be the Paris Opera House, you never know. And she has got an apartment of some kind, so she said I can come out and stay with her for a few days, and then after that it will be back to Greece at the end of June. Today I want to talk to you about how to think properly. We're taught in school what to think. We're taught in school how to solve simple problems like maths problems, and we're also taught how to analyse things, you know, like how to read a book and work out what the characters are thinking and why they act the way they do. We also, at school get taught a lot of things like religious studies. I think it's called something like something different nowadays, but we're again trying to work out people's motivation and stuff. But I can honestly say that I've learned more since I've left school than I ever learned at school. And I was quite bright. I was one of those kids, they said, quite bright but could do better, always, because I was bored stiff at school. So I've had to teach myself since leaving school how to do a lot of things, how to think about a lot of things, and how to solve problems for myself. And that's one of the reasons it's really important that you realise whether you've been taught how to think properly or not. To be successful, you need certain thought patterns that most people don't have naturally. If you've got natural curiosity, you're off to a winner, because you have to be curious about things, and if you're curious about things, you start to wonder why people have certain problems or why a certain problem hasn't been solved, and then you're halfway there to starting a business once you figure that one out. The other thought process you really need to have in place if you're an entrepreneur is optimism, and I highly recommend a book called Learned Optimism by Martin Seligman. Martin Seligman is just a brilliant author on all sorts of things to do with how to think, so I highly recommend him. But Learned Optimism is all about how you pick up your optimism or pessimism from your main carer, depending on whether they were optimist or pessimist. And you've heard me talk about this before, but the main reason that it's important for an entrepreneur to be optimistic, generally speaking, is because they've done scientific studies that prove that optimistic people get more breaks, have more luck, and generally are more successful in life. And who knows why, but I think it helps you start things if you think that you can have a positive outcome. And the other thought pattern that you really need as an entrepreneur is how to figure things out, how to work through problems, how to sort things out that aren't working. Otherwise, if you just come up against an obstacle, you just sit down and that's the end of it. You've really got to work out how to get round it, through it, over it, under it. And I've got some really handy tools for that I share with the members of my Inner Circle membership club, in particular my post-it note exercise, which is highly effective in helping people think problems through. So if we accept that it's really important that we learn how to think properly, then what can you do about it? Well, interestingly, one of the first things you can do about it is you can get more sleep and lower your stress levels. Because if you don't sleep very well, then you get really anxious about things and your stress levels go up. And stress produces a chemical in our brains called cortisol, which actually makes us more stupid. And you'd think it would be the opposite, wouldn't you? You'd think if you were stressed, for example, if there's a saber-toothed tiger jumping out of a bush at you, then you'd have to think more effectively. But no, it turns out you just have to get a bit more stupid, because you're about to make some of the most serious decisions, and you need to be able to make them on instinct. The second thing that you can do to become better at thinking is to create a system. I've just mentioned my post-it note system, and that works really well for me. Basically, I won't go into too much detail on it, but you can actually see me running through an example of using the post-it note system on one of my webinars, which is called Your Best Year Yet. And you can go and watch that for free at nicolacairncross.com/webinars. The other thing you can do to make yourself think better is to hire a coach or rope in a friend and try and coach each other, challenge each other's thinking. Just catch each other out when you're making assumptions or you're voicing a limiting belief or a negative belief that's got no evidence in real life. It's really very helpful, and someone who's been trained in these questioning techniques, which is what a coach is, can often be the real key to unlocking your own thought patterns. It's actually really cost effective to get a coach now. If you just come along to my Inner Circle, for example, you can join that for just $79 a month, around £50 a month. Cheaper than a coffee every day, really. And I will challenge you. If I see you writing down things that, your actions for the next week, and I think that you're making a leap or an assumption, or you've got a limiting belief or a negative belief about something, I will challenge you on the spot, kindly but firmly. And that is absolutely invaluable, because most people are operating, we've talked about entrepreneurial loneliness in a couple of episodes ago, and most people are operating on their own. And if they don't run their ideas and their assumptions past anyone, then how are they to know whether they're making a massive mistake? And that's also the value of a peer group community. That's why people join forums, because if you put your intentions out there or your thought processes out there, then someone else can come along and question it, which can help you because you've been challenged, and you look at your own thought processes again a little more carefully. So finally, I just wanted to share the 3 things I do with you to try and keep my thought processes up to scratch. Basically, I journal every day, which means I write in a book like this. It's usually a moleskin diary, but this is the one that's going on the moment. And just by writing out my own sort of aspirations for the week, my own challenges that I want to overcome for the week, the obstacles I'm facing, what I perceive the solutions might be, it somehow helps getting it out of my head onto paper. It slows my thought processes down. If I was at the computer, it wouldn't work as well. And somehow then I go off and have my shower after I've done the writing, and I often come up with the solutions to my challenges in the shower, and that's a well-known phenomena. But I'm sure it wouldn't be as effective as if I hadn't written the challenges out first. The second thing I do is, I'm not very good at meditating, but meditating is supposed to be really, really good for you, and really has got so many now scientifically proven benefits in the way your brain works. I think my kind of meditation, although I do guided meditation, I do prefer to listen to podcasts and read books. Reading a business book is a kind of meditation for me because it slows my brain down to the speed at which I can read, which is quite fast actually. And listening to podcasts is even better because it slows my brain down to the speed that the other person's speaking. So it enables you to take in ideas very effectively. And it's a really good positive form of brainwashing, listening to business and positivity and motivational podcasts and reading those kind of books as well. The third thing that really has helped me over the years is my friend Andy Shaw wrote a couple of books called The Bug-Free Mind. It was one book originally, then I suggested that he ought to turn it into 2, one called Creating a Bug-Free Mind and one called Using a Bug-Free Mind. And it's been incredibly successful. It sells in over 153 countries. It's being taken into corporates now. He's creating a board game from it, and some of the UAE countries now want to take it into their school system. Many of the world's thought leaders in personal development have said that it's an incredibly powerful and an important book. So I highly recommend you get your hands on it, and Andy's actually doing a special promotion at the moment, so you can actually watch some of the new videos he's created. He's taking it away from just the personal development market and taking it into mental strength and agility market. So it's really very useful for people who've been through traumatic situations as well. He's had a lot of success with people reading his books and feeling much, much better afterwards, who've perhaps had PTSD or who've been feeling rather depressed. I know that he's reports a number of people who were depressed who's read the books, and they've really started to feel a lot better. And I read some evidence the other day that said that people who focus on goals and people who focus on forward-facing actions are much less likely to be depressed than people who spend their time ruminating about the past or even worrying and being really anxious about what's happening in the present. So the final sort of tool in the toolbox, if you like, is gratitude. It's really hard to feel depressed every time you get a negative thought and you turn it into a grateful one. It's really hard to be depressed when you're looking forward and making plans for your future. And if you need help with all of that, then I really would suggest you go and watch these free videos of Andy's that are out literally as we're talking. So by the time you see this, the promotion for the videos will be on. And if you just come along to nicolacairncross.com/bug-free, all one word, then you can get your hands on those free videos, and I highly, highly recommend them. And of course, as always, don't forget that I love to help, so ask me any questions you like. And if you don't have any questions for me, then that just tells you that if you're in business and you don't have any questions that, to improve your business, then that's a symptom in itself that you could use some help with your thinking, because you should have questions. We should always have questions. Okay, so on the blog and my personal podcast this week, we've been talking about entrepreneurial loneliness. That was episode 018 of the Vzine, and also it's on the blog for you to read if you prefer to read. And 019 is all about your ideal client and list segmentation, how to drive leads into your funnel and then segment them according to what they choose to be most interested in and the actions they take, and then how to really target your marketing so that it benefits your new prospect, because they're only seeing stuff that's completely relevant to them. So I talk about that quite a lot in 019, and on Own It the podcast we've got a whole episode on book marketing for writers, so specifically how to market your book if you don't really enjoy marketing and you'd really rather just do the writing. And then we go on the following week to talk about how I accidentally met one of a potential client on the beach here in Stoupa, and how when, as the conversation unfolded, it became obvious that she was my ideal client because she's an expert and a podcaster and is very keen to get in front of the camera, very comfortable in front of the camera, but she has absolutely no traffic. She has no social media following, apart from a random 500 people on Instagram where she doesn't really know where they've come from, but nothing on Twitter, nothing on Facebook, no mailing list, she's got a couple of products and she does do live workshops, so she's going to film the next one and turn that into a product. So she's got 2 products, she's got a wealth of expertise, she's got a wealth of authority in her marketplace, but we're starting from scratch on the social media and digital marketing. So I do like a challenge, and it will be really good fun because, as I say, she's very keen to jump in front of a camera, and that really does make things a whole lot easier. So it just goes to show your ideal client can find you anywhere, even on a beach in Greece in the middle of the summer. So yeah, go and check that out at ownitthepodcast.com, and of course you can find the V-zines and the transcripts of the V-zines and the audio and my podcast at nicolacairncross.com/blog. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll speak to you again next week.